Good morning. Welcome to You Think You Know Google Search. You are with Lisa Thuman this morning, and I am living in New Jersey. I don't know where you are right now. I am the Director of Professional Development for EdTech Team, and I'm actually going to share my screen just for a moment, just to get us all on the same page. We'll do a little bit of both. And let's see, we'll present to everyone. And so you are at a Education on Air event, and the title is You Think You Know Google Search. As I mentioned, my name is Lisa Thuman. I'm a Google certified teacher and an authorized Google education trainer. I've been doing professional development with Google Apps since 2006. You can follow me on Twitter at @LThuman, and I would love to see your comments there. The way I've designed the format of this presentation is old school KWL. So we'll start with what we all already know, then we'll move on to what we want to know, and then we'll talk at the end about what I learned. And I have with me today, and I'm gonna exit screen sharing here. I have with me today a good friend of mine, Tracy Arners, here from Riverside Unified in California. She is the coordinator of innovation and learner engagement, and Tracy and I have worked at several Google Apps summits through EdTech Team, and she also does some in-district custom PD with me for EdTech Team as well. So Tracy will be checking the comments on the Google Plus event page and sharing any little tips and tricks or questions that you have there. So I think what we need to do is we need to start with what we know. And I've got everything in the slide deck for you, and I'll share the link to the slide deck at the end of the session, and we'll post it on the Google Plus event page and everything. But right now I'm going to go back to screen sharing and look at some of the things that we already know. So let me go ahead and do that. Great. So the first thing that we know is we know that Google search ignores punctuation. So we're going to go to google.com. It ignores punctuation. It's not case sensitive. And please never forget, and it's interesting just how many people don't know this, that you can do Control F and search any page. So you actually don't need an add-in or anything. You can search any page for any word using Control F. The next set of things that we all already know, but we need to make sure is, let me go back to google.com, is that we can use voice search. Now, voice search works on our phones, but it also works if you're in Chrome. So if I press the microphone button in a Google search, who is the President of the United States of America, I will be able to get an answer just by using voice search. And this works really great for some of our students that have issues typing or anything like that. We can also use Google as, let's do amalgamate. We can use Google as a dictionary. So if we do amalgamate, we'll get a nice definition right there on the screen, which is really handy. And I have middle schoolers at home. They do this all the time on their tablets. The other thing that we all know is that we can graph equations using Google search. So let's see, 1/2 x plus 4. Get an equation. So those assignments that are coming home for homework, if you can Google the answer, it's not really the best homework assignment. We have two more things that we all know. We know that we can convert currency, so we can do 20 US dollars to Canadian, let's say, and be able to get an easy, quick conversion. And that last thing that we know is we can go to translate. Actually, you know what? I'm going to type in the Omnibox my search. So translate English to French will get up, instead of going to translate.google.com, we can go ahead and enter the text right there. I want to help your child be a better reader. And not only do we get our translation, but we can hear it as well.
Je veux aider votre enfant à être un meilleur lecteur.
And the last one that we want to look at right now is we just, recipe search is pretty hidden, but it's a pretty nice thing. I'm going to say chocolate chip cookies. And my recipe search is going to, oh, my recipe search did not come up. That's interesting. It really gets a little fussy on how you can get to it. But let's go ahead back and stop screen sharing. So now what we have is we've got at the beginning of our KWL chart filled in, right? So we've got what we know. We ignore, Google search ignores punctuation. It's not case sensitive. We can use the Control F to search the pages. We can do voice search. We can define. We can graph. We can convert currency. We can translate. And sometimes recipe search works for us. Tracy, at this point, did anybody put in any comments about the things that they already knew about Google search?
No, we don't have any comments yet, but I'm hoping to see some soon. I did post a favorite features that we know question in the Google Plus page.
Great, awesome. And we have a whole bunch of viewers, so feel free to put it there and join in. Okay, so now let's talk about what we want to know, right? So I'm going to go ahead and screen share again, and let's look at some other things. I can't stand how Hangouts does that. So here's what we want to know, right? We want to know how to get all of our results on that first Google search result page. And thanks to Jeff Hale for this image, because I saw it on one of his presentations and I really liked it. So one of the ways that we can do that, and we're going to go through a bunch of them, is we can go into search settings. And for those of you that remember when the advanced search link was right next to the query bar, well, now it's kind of hidden up there in the gear. So we want to be able to go into advanced search, and we're going to look at that in just a moment. The other thing is we want to be familiar with the knowledge graph. Now, the knowledge graph, when you do a search, is the panel that comes over to the right. So you see the knowledge graph on the right-hand screen here for turtle, comes up with a series of images, comes up with a description, and it comes up with, its classifications and everything. Most of that information is taken from Wikipedia because Wikipedia is the top search result. Now, if you want me to talk about how Wikipedia turned up at the top, go ahead and put the question in the comments on Google+, and we'll talk about that, my understanding, and hopefully I can share that information with you as well. Then for each of our searches, we have these modes, and the modes are web, images, videos, shopping. But see, with each of these modes comes search tools, and the search tools change based on the different mode that you're using. So that's what we're going to look at next. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to google.com, and I don't see my gear to get in advanced settings. I first have to do my query, and now I can go into the top right hand corner. I can go to advanced search and get to all of those, really specific searches, like what language do I want to search in? How recent do I want this information? Well, I want turtle information in the past year. Do I want to search a specific site or domain? Do I want to use safe search? And maybe I only want PowerPoint presentations that have been posted in the last year on turtles. And there we go. Now I've got past year. So here are my modes to change the time that it was posted, sort by relevance or the posting date. Do I want all results or verbatim? And what verbatim means is it takes the spelling exactly as you put it. And then, of course, I can go ahead and clear those search results. So when I clear those search results, look, Google doesn't want to cooperate with me. I'm sure that that's all happened to you at some time. So we'll go back to turtles. And I want to take a look at images with you, because now when we go to search tools, our search tools have really changed. And now I can go ahead and decide, what size images I want. Maybe I only want high def images. So I'll do larger than 800 by 600. I can go in and I can say, I only want green pictures of turtles, and it'll change that for me. I can change the usage rights. So by default, Google searches all images. Copyright, Creative Commons, not labeled at all. So everything's not filtered by license, but you can go in and do labeled for reuse, and these should be images that are not copyrighted. And then of course we have some more tools. We could show the sizes, but here's where it gets really great. For each image, you get a knowledge graph, and in that knowledge graph, you'll see the exact link to the image. You'll see where it comes from, and this image happens to come from commons.wikimedia.org. You'll see the size, and this is a high-res image. If I click that size, this is the old similar images, and it gives me that exact image in all different size formats. So this is a lot better if I'm looking for something, you know, that's not that many megabytes taking up too much room. So now I'm going to go ahead and click back. Brings me back here. I see the name of the image itself. I can visit the page that the image lives on. And this is really great with students because what do? We say, where did you get your picture? What do they say? I got it from Google Images. Well, no, they didn't. This turtle picture actually comes from commons.wikimedia.org. And if I go back again, it should bring me back into that picture, and I click View Image. This is where the image lives, and this is the address that they should be citing. And I always point out to students, you know, when you're citing your image, look at the dot 3 before the end of the address. You're going to see JPEG, you're going to see GIF, you're going to see PNG. So that's really helpful for them. So we talked about search settings. We talked about to get to advanced search. We talked about that knowledge graph on the right-hand side of the page. We talked about these different modes. And we talked about these search tools to filter different results. And then the last thing that we talked about was, using the modes depending upon using the search tools depending upon which mode you were in. Now this next one, a lot of people don't know about, and this is absolutely fantastic. This is your search history. Now there's a couple of different ways to get to your search history. You could go to history.google.com, or you can go back to one of your queries, go up to the gear and click history. And it typically asks you for a password prompt again. That's okay because this is personal information. And you can see here at 12:11, I searched for turtles. Here's the image I found. Here's the PowerPoint I found. Here's where I tried to do a recipe search for chocolate chip cookies and my equations and everything. And this history shows you every site that you've been to. It is absolutely fantastic. So I can say I was doing research a couple of weeks ago, and even a couple of days ago on May 7th, here's the link to my, public schools that I was looking for. Here's the links to a video that I watched. I was looking for Wonder Pets on YouTube because somebody I knew didn't know what the Wonder Pets were. So your search history is a really powerful, powerful tool. The other thing that we want to look at that you may not have known is Google News. So I'm going to go ahead and go to news.google.com. So we'll go news.google. Oh, you know what? If I wasn't sure of the address, I could Google it. So let's see. It's Google News. And look at the very top search result. Now there's 2 billion search results, but the first one happens to be Google News. So right now I am looking at the US edition of Google News. And this is, news websites, not blogs, not magazines. These are actual news websites. So you'll see USA Today, you'll see Reuters, and you'll see Bloomberg. And notice that this is from the perspective of the US edition. So we've got Liberia is free of Ebola, tropical storm in the Carolinas. But what if I wanted to see news that was going on in, let's say, let's go with Cuba, but not from a US perspective, from a Cuban perspective. And you'll notice that it comes up in Spanish. But this is a really powerful tool, and I love it. This page is in Spanish. Would you like to translate it? Sure, translate it to English for me. And now I can look at the news in Cuba right now and read it in English. Since I'm monolingual, that really works for me. The next thing that we want to look at is the Google News Archives. Now, this is a totally different thing. So let's Google News Archives. Okay, we'll click that very first search result there. And here's the difference. Did you see that pop-up window that came up? That pop-up window allows us to search exact sources, exact locations, and we can do recent, we'll do archives, okay? So we want to find, let's see, World War II, and we're going to search the archives, and it will bring up everything that it can possibly find. Now, the next thing that we want to look at is Google Scholar. Now, I'll do it again. I'll Google Scholar. Now, Google Scholar is a really powerful tool because this search engine only searches reputable and reliable resources, dissertations, scholarly journals, no blogs, no popular news sites or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and search gaming in education, something that I research. And look at these search results. This is awesome. First of all, every search result they're typically PDFs or something that you can download. It gives you the author, the publisher, the year it was published, and the website where it lives. So if I go ahead and I click, I'll go down to this article right here, Video Games and Learning, and I click Save. It saves it to my library. And over on the left here, I have my library. These are all of the articles that I have saved so that I can easily get back to them. Now, the next thing is we can click Cite and get MLA, APA, or Chicago. Now, those of you that are familiar with the research tool in Google Docs, you know that the MLA is not always perfect. So I do suggest that you check your citation before you submit it to a college professor for sure. And then I can also click on My Citations in the top right hand, and I can go ahead and track citations to my my scholarly articles. And that's something that's on my bucket list. Okay, so the next thing that we want to look at is we want to look at Google Book Search. So how am I going to get there? Let's see, Google Books. Now, of course, you've guessed the addresses for each of these different tools. It was news.google.com, scholar.google.com, books.google.com. And when you go there, you'll have a link to go to the Google Play to go ahead and purchase for your tablet or your e-reader, or you can search for a book. And I'm going to use one that's in the public domain. So I'm going to use Moby Dick. And the reason why I picked it in the public domain is because those public domain books are full view, meaning that you can actually read the entire book right here online. Now, I know if you have a Kindle, there's a whole library of public domain Kindle books, but this has been out for a while. And one of the things I really love about this is that I can go over on the left-hand side and search for anything. So let's say I search for Ahab. I can find every time Ahab is listed in the book, which is pretty cool. I can also save this book to my library. So I actually have, my books on Google Play. I have, fiction for my kids. I have a reading book list from EduBlogger Con East like 4 years ago. We all shared some books. And I even made that bookshelf publicly viewable. I'll go back to my library, and every time I search for a book, let's go ahead back to Moby Dick for a moment. So I go back to Moby Dick, back into the book, and click Read. I have the option to get this book in print. And of course, there's going to be a link for Amazon and other booksellers, but there's also Find in a Library. And if you have location services turned on in your browser, it'll show you the libraries near you that have this book, which is really, really nice. Okay, I'm going to go back, and we're going to look at one more just to look at the difference. So I'm going to look at Malcolm McDowell wrote the book Blink. So I'll go in, and here it is. And you'll see instead of full view, you see preview. And that's because they're not going to post the entire book. Depending upon the agreement between the publishers, the author, and Google, there might be a snippet, there might be one chapter, and a teaser. But they're certainly not going to publish the entire book. Okay, we have a few more things we need to go over. And the next one, and you know what, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to check in here. We have a safe search question. So Tracy's going to share a question with me from the chat.
This question came in from Jennifer, and she asked, is it possible to limit to safe searches for young students, or do we have to rely on the school's firewall?
So that can be set at the domain level. So first and foremost is that firewall that your district set up. And then so you have what are called organizational units, OUs, and safe search can be set dependent on the OU. So if you've got your primary age students and let's say early elementary, you might have safe search turned on for that organizational unit. And then your middle school and high school students, you might not have it turned on because it's absolutely going to eliminate things. And the next thing that we're going to look at is going to narrow those searches down for those younger students even further, and that's custom search engines. So I think that was a really great segue into custom search engines. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And remember, I'm going to share the slides with you at the end, and the slides have all of the links on it. So let's go ahead and share. And oops. Sorry, got to click one more button. All right, so if I can search custom search engines. And the address that you want is google.com/CSE. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And these are all the custom search engines that I've already created. So if we go and we look into this Holocaust research that I was working on, you'll see that there's 3 sites that I had the students use. You'll see that we can get that public URL, which is this. And the cool thing about a custom search is it only searches those sites you dictate. So if I go ahead and type Hitler, it's not going to give me Wikipedia as the first search result. It's going to search the 3 sites that I dictated. So this is a great way for you to determine what are the age-appropriate, relevant, credible websites that you want your students researching. You can still have them learn researching skills like using keywords and narrowing down their searches, but safely within these specific sites that you know have the content that they're looking for. So let's look at how to do this. We're going to go to google.com/CSE, and we're going to create one. So we're going to say new search engine, and it's going to be this easy. Now I have 3 websites that I set aside for dinosaurs research. So instead of trying to remember what they are, I'm going to go ahead and I believe I stopped sharing. So let me go back and share again. Sorry, technology. Present to everyone. We'll go back here. And the first site, there we go. I'm trying to get down to this list right here. And they're not there. There we go. So I have 3 websites. So let's grab that kidsdinos.com and we come here, we paste it in. Now, of course, you would have taken the time to review these websites to make sure that they're credible, reliable, age appropriate. I'm going to go paste the second one here. And then I'm going to come back here and get that 3rd website. So think about everything you have bookmarked in Digo and Delicious, and even in your browser's bookmarks tab. And now I'm going to give my search engine a name. Right now it's only searching these 3 sites. My language of choice is English. And now name of the search engine, let's see, Dinosaur for second graders. And I'm going to go ahead and click Create. Now, if you don't have this enabled in your Google Apps for Education domain, just go ahead and ask your domain administrator to enable it for you, because it was as simple as that. Now I can go ahead and let's say T-Rex, and my search results will only be those 3 sites. So you'll notice that eliminated Wikipedia if you don't want that showing up from your students. It eliminated like any of the PBS cartoons or any game sites, and gave you just those 3 websites, which is really powerful and such a great time to be able to focus on instruction in your classroom. Okay, so at this point in time, our next part of the KWL chart, right? So what did we want to know? We wanted to know advanced search. We wanted to know that Google history page. That's so powerful to be able to go back and see where you've been, because sometimes we get lost in searches and just keep clicking and clicking, and that brings you back to where you were. We took a quick look at Google Scholar, Google Books, Google News Archives, and also custom search engines. So we have a few more things that we want to talk about, and then I'm going to bring it back to you as to, what did you learn during the session? So the question that I want you answering right now on the Google Plus event page is, what is something that you learned? So before I go over the last few resources, there is a question, and why reading level has been removed. If you want to address that, I would love to address that. A bunch of us realized yesterday it was gone. I don't know why they removed it. Google's whole culture is based on putting things out in beta and seeing how they do. And I know that there were some complaints about the reading level filter because it was very human-like, that reading level filter, and it was based on the New York Times reading level. And the New York Times themselves said that their reading level is between 5th and 9th grade because every author writes differently. So it was very difficult to discern something was in intermediate, should it have been in basic. I really hope it comes back. I think it's a great starting block, especially if you're putting together a custom search engine. I'm going to pop the links and the slideshow in the Google Plus event page when I'm done, and we're coming to the half-an-hour mark right now. But don't forget that you can always go to the Google help pages on search. There's a plethora of information there. It's really it's a great place to learn. The Google help pages are the first place that I go to when I have a question about something, rather than Googling the answer. Also, there's a whole search playground for you to play with at google.com/search. And the last thing I wanted to mention is Dan Russell. He's the Google search quality and user happiness person for Google. He's like my search guru. Years ago, he published these MOOCs. There's 2 classes you can go through, the original power searching class and the advanced power searching class. And you'll see links to that in my slide deck, which I'm going to post into the Google Plus event momentarily. So I asked you to leave your comments in the Google Plus page. I'm hoping that you did something that you learned today. Tracy, did anyone take the time to post something?
We've had a couple of questions, but one great search tips. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go to the Google Plus page. I'm going to post the link to the slide deck here. And I thank you for tuning in and watching. And I hope that you've taken away a couple of tips and tricks that you can use. And I certainly hope that you'll take the time to watch some of the other on-air sessions. So have a great day, and you'll see the link to the slide deck momentarily. Bye-bye.